Nick, welcome to Radshape in Aston. They make chassis for Morgan here, bumpers for Bentley. In a moment, we'll be talking to their managing director. But yes, I can tell you that after 5 straight months where the jobless total fell here in the West Midlands, this month, I'm afraid, it has gone up. The latest figures show there are now a total of 235,000 people out of work in our region. That's up 7,000 on last month. Unemployment here now stands at 8.8%, which is above the national average. But that's not the whole story. If you look at the figure for the past 3 years, it's much more optimistic because back in August of 2009, the West Midlands had the highest unemployment rate in the country. At that time, 285,000 Midlanders were out of work. That's a rate of 10.6%. So if you measure over that longer 3-year period, unemployment here has actually fallen by 50,000. And if you compare the northwest of England, which is a similar size to us, and see how they fared over that 3-year period, the jobless total there actually rose by 30,000. So the question for us here in the Midlands is, where have all those extra jobs come from since 2009? Holly Lewis has been finding out.
This time last year, Tom Spittle was unemployed. He had to give up his job in the pub trade because of ill health and thought he'd never get back into the workplace. But after joining a government scheme, he was offered a full-time post at Aston batteries in Solihull last month.
I've had to start again completely, doing something completely different to what I've ever done. But, you know, there's businesses out there doing it and there is hope for people. You've just got to be prepared to take the chance.
Tom is one of 6 people who've recently been taken on by the Solihull firm. It was started by Mark Thompson at the height of the recession. His vision was to develop solar power for the export market as well as trading within the UK.
I'd say to any company out there, if you see an opportunity, don't think, oh, can we do it, can't we do it? Go for it, explore it, do a bit of research. But I am a little bit, you know, when I see an opportunity, 100 miles an hour, and let's go for it, and let's be a winner in the market we want to aim at.
And this is the sort of business that the government is looking to lead the country out of recession. In the year to March 2012, 4,000 jobs were lost in the public sector. But over the same period, 81,000 were created in the private sector. The Thompsons aim to create another 40 jobs over the next 3 years and are working with local colleges to recruit apprentices. Youth unemployment is still high. 10,000 more 16 to 24-year-olds joined the dole queue in the West Midlands last month. Georgina Billingham from Stourbridge is a criminology graduate, but can only find part-time work in a garage.
Obviously, I've worked hard for 3 years. I've put a lot of effort into it. I've got into a lot of debt for it, and I haven't furthered in my career any more than what I did when I was at college.
Young people can only hope that signs of life in the manufacturing sector will be the start of a long-term recovery for the jobs market. Holly Lewis, BBC Midlands Today, Solihull.
Now, no prizes for guessing that this nice shiny radiator grille has come off a Bentley. It's actually a replica of the one out of the Queen's State limousine made here at Radshape in Birmingham. Every week, some 20 tonnes of sheet metal come through the doors of this factory. They've invested millions of pounds over the years in the latest precision engineering equipment. They've got laser cutters capable of producing something as intricate and tiny as this little bicycle I've got in my hand here. Well, with me now is the Managing Director, Keith Chadwick. Keith, before the recession, your firm employed about 55 people. You're looking, I know, to take on more at this very moment, and you've got a healthy turnover of £4.5 million. How have you managed it?
Well, by developing our existing customer base and also actively going out and looking at other market sectors, rail, MOD and so forth.
Now, as you've heard today, unemployment, sadly, in the Midlands has gone up today. Do you think it's a blip or a long-term trend?
Well, I think it's a blip. We're expanding here. I have jobs for 5 people immediately in various functions within our organisation, and we are actively looking for apprentices in September.
So it sounds like, as far as you're concerned, things are looking quite bright.
Things are looking quite bright. If you'd like to come over here and have a look at our new product.
Your future, by the sound of things.
Our future. This is, not only have we looked at obtaining business from our existing customers, we took the opportunity to develop our own product.
And this is a radio-controlled car?
This is a radio-controlled car, and we are selling this now to 26 different countries.
Wow. And the real success story about this is that it's selling to an awful lot of people who find themselves on a loose end in remote places, as far afield, would you believe, Nick, as Afghanistan, even Antarctica.
Sarah, thank you. Now, earlier in the programme, we heard how unemployment's risen in the Midlands for the first time in 6 months. It's up by 7,000, meaning 235,000 people are now out of work in our region. The 3-year trend is down, though, by 50,000. Well, Sarah Falkland is at the Radshape Sheet Metal factory in Aston in Birmingham, where they're planning to take on more staff. So what's been the reaction to today's figures, Sarah?
Well, if you remember, we heard earlier from the MD here, and he was pretty buoyant. Yes, they are taking on more staff here, but what about the wider picture for the Midlands economy? Well, with me now is Jerry Blackett from the Birmingham and Solihull Chamber of Commerce. Jerry, these figures, unemployment up again last month. Is this a sign that things are going to get worse?
It's getting really hard to call where we're going with this economy. By now, in theory, we should have lost a lot more jobs already than we have, and yet we've bucked the trend for 4 months. So maybe this is a blip. It's getting really quite hard to know what is going on in the employment market. And we've bucked the trend. Maybe we can continue doing it, but it's going to be a long haul.
What do we need to do to turn things around?
Well, I think we need to stimulate those sectors that really do produce jobs in volume. And I'll give you one example, is the construction sector. House building has practically stopped. If we could incentivise that, get the credit moving to mortgages, that's one way of getting people back into large amounts of employment. Just
briefly today, you'll have heard the news, the first group taking over from Virgin with the franchise for the West Coast Main Line. What impact do you think that will have on the region's economy?
Should be good. First Choice have got 14 years now to plan and deliver a service, so they should have an incentive to invest in more trains, in stations, in a way that, to be fair to Virgin, they never had. They had much shorter leases.
OK, Jerry Blackett, thank you very much. So sadly, 7,000 more Midlanders out of work last month. But back to the Queen's Grill here. I did hear today that Her Majesty was looking for a chauffeur, Nick.